Hey guys, I did a little video a while back about helping to overcome sins, things you can do to help be successful in that. And I wanted to do one on health, on the body. The better off your mind and your body is, uh, I think the more clearly you can think and the better you can function. So it definitely has an effect on your spirituality, um, especially when you get in harmony with all that, when your body and your mind and your what you call your spirit are in tune with each other. So point number one, diet. That's the most important point of them all. And these are all things that I do myself, so I won't be saying anything to you that I do not do myself. I spent years just being really unhealthy. Years, and 30 years, 33 years, whatever you want to call it. And as of the last solid year now, it's been a little bit over a year, and I've lost 30 pounds. I got more muscle mass than I've ever had in my life. I feel good. Energy's high, stuff like that. And these are things that anyone can do, in my opinion, unless you have some kind of physical, problem. Then you need to work around that and figure out, what works best for you. But I will say, I see no reason why Christians shouldn't be healthy. It almost seems to make sense. I mean, we focus on our spiritual health. I think we should pay some attention to our physical health. So in that vein, number one is diet. Um, People don't eat enough vegetables. You know the story. I know there's certain brothers on here that eat steak pies, and that doesn't sound like a very healthy dessert, a steak pie. But um, I would say in general, the more vegetables and fruits you eat, the better off you are. Eating anything that you can raw, as far as it comes to that. Um, Juicing is a great thing to add to your arsenal. You can get a little $100 juicer and just take an apple, an orange, and a carrot is a great place to start. And it tastes really good, actually. Apple, orange, and a carrot. You can even throw an ice cube in there or something, or make a smoothie out. I drink it straight because I'm not a big fan of carrot juice, but when you put it in with an apple or an orange, either one, you can't really even taste the carrot. It tastes like either apple juice or orange juice. So that's juicing is a great way to introduce vegetables into your diet. And I will say that, like me, I love broccoli, I love cauliflower, I can eat all that stuff, but I know there's a lot of people who don't. Yes, they can be juiced, but I will tell you, juiced broccoli is pretty strong. Now, I will do it. I will juice broccoli and kale and put that in my apple, orange, and carrot. But you can do it separately. Make you a little 6 to 8 ounce glass of that stuff. Drink it down, and it's not gonna taste very good. I've juiced about everything: garlic, onions, ginger. Ginger's rough. So I've tried out all this different stuff, but I can tell you, if you want to keep it simple, and I don't need people crucifying me. Trust me, I can tell you that if anything is just as bad as the spiritual game, the health game is bad. People got all kinds of vicious things to say. I'm just pointing out that if you don't eat the vegetables you should be eating, juicing is a great alternative. Oh, excuse me, because it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? Um, so juicers, you're relatively cheap. You can get some of them for 50, $60. I got mine for 100. Cancer patients, they recommend these $3,000, $5,000 juicers. So I'm definitely not saying to go that route. So that's number one. Get vegetables in your diet. Raw is better if you can't do raw. Steamed, and juicing. And you can juice and make it enough for 2 days, so you don't have to clean it up. It's actually pretty easy to clean. But if you make juice for 2 days, you'll get most of the benefit out the second juice. It won't be as good as the first juice that you drink immediately. But if you get nothing, it's a huge change. And the first thing I noticed when I started the juicing in particular is I started sleeping like a brick. I have trouble sleeping. And when I juice, when I go to bed, man, I just, boom, I sleep hard. So It definitely has an effect on you. You cannot overdose on vitamins from vegetables and fruits. You can overdose on vitamins that are found in supplements. Um, they can actually remove too many antioxidants. So if you're going to do vitamins, then I have no problem with a multivitamin, but make sure it's a micro dose and not those mega dose things that they sell, because you don't want too much of this stuff in you per se, but you're probably deficient in a lot of areas, so a multivitamin can help. Now, staying in the vein of food, I'm not going to get into this whole meat versus vegetarian debate, okay? Uh, I realize that people and myself, I'm a meat eater. I don't eat a ton of it, and I also recognize that mankind would have never made it to this point without the proteins that are found in meat. But I would say this about meats: the red meats are the worst by far. They're linked to a lot of stomach conditions, and a lot of people think of Crohn's disease. What's that? Ulceritis or whatever that stuff is, all kinds of stuff. But that's why it stinks so bad when you use the bathroom, is because it begins to rot in your digestive tract. So when it comes to meat, if you're going to do meats, keep it to your lean proteins if you could. Turkeys, chicken, stuff like that, fish maybe. But the red meat, every once in a while, I guess is what I would say, is fine. But I would kind of be careful with eating too much meat. And I would definitely say stay away from fried meats. When you fry a food, any meat that has fat in it, it will create a toxin. It creates a new chemical, basically. So, fried foods in general just aren't good for you. Um, if you're going to look at the subject of fried foods, to make a long story short, everything used to predominantly be done in palm and coconut oil. And coconut oil, even frying in it, it's way, way, way healthier. But, with meat, you still have this toxin creation. But it's got replaced because it was much cheaper to do hydrogenated vegetable oils. And people point and say that, well, the saturated fat is really high in coconut oil, and it is. But the thing is, they're finding that that may not be all it's cracked up to be. Your two cholesterol levels, HDL and LDL, it doesn't necessarily seem so much which one, how high the HDL is per se, but in what relation HDL is with LDL, the good versus the bad cholesterol. And they have found coconut oil has a natural balancing effect on people. Yes, it will raise your HDL, but it's also going to raise your LDL. And that will help you with things that you're trying to do with your, right in your blood work. So I would say in that regard, if you're going to do fried foods, then I would only do them in the coconuts on a regular basis, and not do the the other stuff so much. And I would also say that fiber, that's another thing. If you're going to eat these proteins and stuff like this in high concentrations, I would make sure that my fiber intake was up. And they found that ancient man probably on average was eating about 110 to 130 grams of fiber a day. The average Westerner in this day and age is getting between 5 and 15 grams. So, and what is the function of fiber in the body? What fiber does is it pushes out all the crap in your body. That's what forms the what they call roughage in the bowel. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because it allows the body to cleanse itself at some point in a small way. They found nutritionfacts.org. He's been at this a long time, and what they found is that Americans actually crap the least amount, period. And you should have bigger craps than that. And that's because we have no fiber in our diet. And it allows things to hang out in the intestines and stuff longer than it should. So the more fiber you have in a diet, the more robust of a movement you'll have, and it gets all that stuff out of you. So, fiber is important, and the juicing helps with that. So the juicing and eating vegetables, but juicing is an easy answer. It'll give you a bunch of vitamin and micronutrients that you're not currently getting, that your body needs over time. There's certain elements in the body that if it doesn't get, it'll start leaching other things to get those nutrients or facsimiles of them, and it can really be detrimental in your health. Um, it'll add fiber to your diet, and it'll help keep you fuller longer. Now, when it comes to eating in general, what I found is they found there was a Harvard paper done where they compared, it was 6 major diets, I think, six, it was 5 or 6. And I'll skip all the details of it, but the two that really stuck out at me is they looked at a vegetarian diet and they looked at a Atkins diet. And they found that both of them lost 30 pounds. So it would seem that the body will adjust to anything with a caloric deficit. Now, I could see why the Atkins would make you lose weight. It's just a bunch of protein. There's no carbohydrates in it. Carbohydrates are a delivery vehicle for protein. So, I could see that. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want your blood work. You know what I mean? Meat, I think there is no doubt about this. Meat is linked to cancer. High intakes of meat can be very detrimental to your health and blood pressure. Those people who eat a lot of meat have a tendency to eat a lot of sodium. Sodium makes your individual cells swell up. And once they swell up so much, they start having problems functioning because they're so full of water, they can't even function properly. Do you need sodium? Yes. And trust me, if you eat any kind of modern diet, you're getting more than enough sodium. You should be more concerned with potassium, magnesium, stuff like that. Those are the things you could be missing out on. So, all that information, I would just sum it up like this. And one last thing before I sum up the diet part of it, and this is just stuff in a nutshell. There's so many fine ways you could go with this, And a side note on vegetarianism, they found that they have B12 and omega-3 deficiencies. It's either omega-3 or omega-6, but they were dying. A lot of them are dying at the same age as unhealthy people who eat, nothing but ice cream and fat foods and sodium, because they had a B12 and a 3 to 6 deficiency. And you can offset that with flaxseed if you want to be a vegetarian and take a B12 supplement, because it's really hard to get B12 from anything. So you might as well just take the supplement. Now, it's not something you have to take every day. If you eat a little meat, this is not as much of a concern. So, and the last thing I would say about diet is soft drinks. Get rid of all of them. They are useless. Now, I know there's a certain brother, I was reading some comments. I think it's a Canadian fella who drinks Coke. And I'm going to tell you, this stuff is just so bad for you. I can't even put it into words. It's nothing but chemicals. You're drinking a bunch of chemicals, and it blocks iron digestion. So it does some really profane stuff to your body. And another thing you can just do for yourself is take a look at the back of it. If I'm not mistaken, a 20 ounce says 2.5 servings. And is it like 260 calories or something per serving? So if you drink that whole bottle, you're drinking, upwards almost 600 calories. And you're taking in a bunch of sodium, a bunch of sugars, it's just a bunch of chemicals. So if you want to clean up your diet, just in a nutshell, like I said, you have to come up with your own dietary plan. Is one, start juicing, eat vegetables, eat fruits, stay away from fried meats. Cut down on meat. If you eat every meal of the day has meats in it, you probably could do with getting rid of some of that animal protein. 2, get rid of the soft drinks, because that stuff, if you look at the amount of weight you gain over the period of a year by drinking that crap, and people get it in cups like this. I mean, it's one thing to have a little 8 ounce, for on the weekend with supper or something, you know what I mean? But people on an everyday basis got these 64-ounce cups, They're taking in 1,000 calories of, and I'm going to tell you, a man, I'll get to that. I don't want to confuse the issue. But they're taking in obscene amounts of calories. And I'll say another thing to get off of is milk. Milk does nothing good for your body at this point. Okay, and there was a time in human history where milk was probably a lot more needed to survive. But think about it. What is milk for? It's to turn a baby cow into a 1-ton cow. That's it. It's a growth hormone basically. And they put all this junk in it now, and but we're the only animals who still drink milk after we've grown. The stuff is full of fat and proteins. It's designed to make you fat ultimately. And the bacteria. So get rid of milk. Great alternative is coconut milk. Coconut milk, and they got the vanilla flavored one. Oh, it's so good. That stuff is good. And like I said, the cholesterol that's in it, I wouldn't be too concerned about because it's a medium chain triglyceride, and it's not the fake triglyceride that you find in other chemicals. So I don't want to go into too many details. Like I said, I wanted to be general because you can go on forever. But so that's the diet part. Do something about your diet. Get away from fried foods. Get away from soft drinks. Start juicing or eating more vegetables. Juicing is the easy answer. Apple, orange, and a carrot is a great place to start. Um, so, and stay away from milk. Stuff ain't no good for you. Two, the second major point would be working out. I know many of you don't want to hear that. I would say join a gym. If you can't join a gym because you don't have the funding or there's no gym in your area, come out with a workout program. There's many good workout programs that don't require any weights at all. But they found that people that work out 3 days a week for 1 hour a day, they're right behind vegetarians for not catching cancer. Okay, so that's huge. If you clean up your diet and you work out, statistically speaking, cancer is not going to kill you. Now, if you expose yourself to some I'm not. You can still possibly get cancer, but I'm saying that statistically speaking, you won't die of cancer. So like I said, 3 days a week, 1 hour a day, whether it's with weights or without weights. I'm a 5-day-a-week guy. Some people do 7 days. It grows into your pattern. So don't think that you can't do it. It's something that once you start doing it, it'll start to fit in what you do, and it'll make sense for you. People at the gyms are not all meatheads and all that. So if you're scared of that, that's really not true. I've been doing it, like I said, for a year. And yes, there are some meatheads, but you'll find the bulk of people there are pretty normal people who just come in and do their thing and leave, and you'll make friends there and all that. And they eat well compared to us, so you can learn from them. I got the yawns today. So I would say that go to a gym, and if you can't, find some kind of 1 hour, 3 day a week workout activity that you can maintain. You can buy some weights. If you can't buy some, you can order them through Amazon. You know what I mean? There's so many things you can do, and you can look up workout programs to get started. Give yourself 3 hours a week, and if you enjoy it, you may find yourself doing more. That's what happened to me. I started out going 3 days a week, and then I ended up going 5 because I really enjoyed it once you get into it a little bit. So yeah, if you're gonna start working out, you make sure you're getting your sleep, which would be another major point in all this. Get enough sleep so your body can repair itself, so it can start purging out toxins and doing all this other stuff. Now, a point I should have made earlier going with the diet stuff that I'll make here in the workout stuff is water. Make sure you drink enough water. Replace all the soft drinks with water, and you'll probably be fine. You wanna get to a point where your pee is clear. That tells you that you've reached a point during the day where you have flushed everything out of your kidneys. Colored urine means you're dealing with pollutants, unless you're taking some kind of vitamin supplement like what is it? Is it B? One of it's B or D. One of them will make you pee like orange. So if something like that's going on, then I wouldn't be overly concerned. But that too should flush out, and you should get to a point where you have clear urine. So you definitely want to get to that point during the day. So make sure you're drinking a lot of water. I drink a gallon a day minimum. And I'll tell you, your skin starts to feel better over time. And it's just, trust me, you'll notice a big difference just taking these few simple steps. So make sure you get some physical activity in, start juicing, change your diet, drink your water, dump the milk, get off of the soft drinks, and stay away from fried foods as a rule. Now, like I said, if you eat these stuff on the weekend or whatever, and I don't think that's the end of the world necessarily. The problem comes when you eat it all the time, and that's what we do. And eventually, our body can't keep up anymore. And you know, take meat for example. That white stuff that's on a steak, we know it is fat. And have you ever cooked bacon or anything else and then let it cool down? What happens? It turns back into fat. And that's what happens in your body. When you eat a lot of fat, your blood actually gets thicker and it changes your blood pressure. All this other little stuff happens. Your liver has to work. They said it takes about 4 hours for the liver to process all this fat. Well, what happens every 4 hours? We eat. We eat every 4 hours on an average diet. So your body never rests. It never has a chance to purge itself. Get on a natural lemonade kick and purge your body for a little while, whatever. But those are some things I wanted to point out, some tips to make you feel better, because it does make a huge difference. Man, when you go to bed at night, maybe I want to take a look at taking some melatonin. There's no study that shows any detrimental side effect to taking a little bit of melatonin, 3 to 5 milligrams. It'll help you dream sooner, you'll sleep harder. And, if you're working out, this is critical, what you take before you go to bed. So there's some simple pointers there. I hope it brings some information. Like I said, you could say, well, what about what you could? There's so many other ways to look at it. I'm just telling you what I did personally. I started juicing. I dumped the fried foods, and I'm not saying I never eat fried foods anymore, but it's nothing for me to go from Monday through Friday without touching a French fry, a fried piece of chicken, anything. So if you can do that, your blood pressure and all that's going to come down, and then you'll have a lot of success just with these little tips. Juice, stay away from fried foods, get away from the red meat, and try the chickens maybe and the fishes and stuff. Get rid of milk. No soft drinks. Get rid of the soft drinks. You do any studying on a soft drink, you're going to see this is not good stuff for you. So I'm going to stop this one right here. If people show any interest in this, there's definitely a lot more to say about all of it. But I might do another one. But I figured I'd just throw this out there. Take care of your body as well as your spirit. They work hand in hand. They need each other. And if you got a clear head, you don't want to feel depressed, you don't want to feel whatever it is, it starts with your diet and physical activity. So those two things I would focus in on. I hope this helps somebody. Maybe it's inspires somebody. God bless.